Hey guys, and welcome back to another semantics video. First of all, thanks so much for all the love and support I received after my last video. I can't express how much that meant to me. I'm doing a lot better since making and uploading it. The whole process was quite cathartic for me. Today's video is not me spilling my life story or another transformation video. Today I'd like to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart: video game music. Specifically, how Square Enix artfully uses music as a narrative element in Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood, and things that other game studios, Blizzard, could stand to learn from it. Sorry, something in my throat. Note, there will be light spoilers for the main scenario questline of Stormblood, so you have been warned. Now, before I start dissecting the music of Final Fantasy XIV, I'm going to preface all of this by saying I studied musical theater in college, and I have a degree in music. I'm going to get into relatively surface-level analysis of leitmotif, theme, and variation. So if you guys want me to do more of these and/or delve deeper into music theory, let me know in the comments. So, without further ado, let's talk about leitmotif. Now, leitmotif is a term originating from opera, where it referred to a recurring melody that played along with a character or allusion to a theme whenever one or the other appeared on stage. It derived from the German words for leading, light, and motive, motif. In video games, oftentimes the main characters will have their own theme music that will play whenever the story pertains to them. Here's Lord HIEN'S theme, for example. This is, in essence, use of leitmotif. A lot of games, Final Fantasy in particular, take it a step further by giving locales, both zones and dungeons, their own theme as well. But before we even get into the zones and the characters, we have to talk about the main themes for the game. I'm specifically going to be focusing on the themes for the Stormblood expansion. Now, there are two main themes for Stormblood. Revolutions, the declared main theme for the expansion.
A song of dawn, dawn, the day reborn. Breathe deep of the dawn before the storm.
And the Garlean/Alamegan hymn. Now, both are melodically strong, and both are used as leitmotifs throughout zone, dungeon, and character themes in Stormblood. In fact, the majority of tracks in Stormblood use one or both of these themes at some point. Now, this establishes two things: identity and familiarity. Much like how an overture in an opera or a musical introduces you to the melodies and motifs you'll be hearing throughout the course of the show, these two themes keep us grounded and remind us what we're doing, where we are, and why we're here. In a sense, the leitmotifs are used as a narrative element. As you play through the story of Stormblood, you come to associate certain themes with certain events, and places, and ideas. And those themes are then used at opportune moments to make the player remember a certain event or feel a certain way. Leitmotif is a way to evoke emotion and memories without using words. I think this concept is used to its fullest effect in Final Fantasy's boss themes. While the main boss theme for Stormblood is phenomenal, the unique boss themes for primals and/or final bosses in raid tiers are one of the things that sets Final Fantasy XIV leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. While there are many that fit the bill, I'm going to be diving into Tsukuyomi's theme from patch 4.3, Under the Moonlight. Note, I love Tsukuyomi. I made a video where I transformed into something Tsukuyomi adjacent. I would say I transformed into Tsukuyomi, but the people on Reddit would crucify me for that. So, anyway, let's get back into the analysis. Immediately upon entering the arena to fight Tsukuyomi, you're greeted by a sinister and unique theme. The fact that an encounter has its own unique music helps to signify the narrative importance of the fight. Now, it isn't long at all before we're greeted by a familiar friend, Revolutions, the main theme of the expansion. In fact, from the get-go, the first melodic idea is a minor variation on the melody from Revolutions.
A song of dawn, dawn, the day reborn.
We then move on to a more familiar statement of that idea. But it brought along another friend. Beneath the Revolutions melody, we have the main Stormblood boss theme to help remind us that we're fighting a boss. Now, this theme in itself is a minor variation on the Alamegan/Garlean hymn that we discussed earlier. Now, the fight is broken into 3 distinct phases, each with its own theme. The musical shift between phases is wonderful for a few different reasons. It helps cue the group that something different is coming. It helps communicate how the boss is feeling, and it helps the phase shift feel more impactful. Phase 2 of this encounter is beautifully constructed. It makes you feel bad for Yotsuyu, as you're literally fighting off her demons and seeing the things that turned her into the monster that she is now. The music does an excellent job of communicating these things to us as well. If you remember, at the end of Doma Castle, we thought Yotsuyu died. That was to be the dramatic end to her story. But she survived, albeit without her memory. It's only fitting then that the first melodic idea in the Phase 2 theme, Lunacy, is a minor variation on the Doma Castle theme, which is fittingly titled Gates of the Moon. The other main player here is Lord HIEN'S theme, also fitting as he was the one who left her to die in the crumbling castle. Now these two themes are utilized perfectly to aid in painting this picture of Yatsuyu's suffering. Now after we deal with her demons and we get insight into the monster that she became, we start the transition into the final phase. The metaphorical gloves come off, and first and foremost, the visuals for this final phase are absolutely breathtaking. The saturation of the colors, the yin-yang and lunar elements, the spider lily eruption at her feet, positively gorgeous. And during that impactful and impressive transition, the Phase 3 theme, Wayward Daughter, kicks things up a notch as well, trading the melancholic and introspective piano and strings from Phase 2 for a strong electric guitar and beautiful vocal, set to the melody of the Yangsha theme, Yatsuyu's homeland. The male vocal, which I can only assume is representative of Gosetsu, isn't a direct statement of HIEN'S theme, but the intervals are too similar to ignore. So to recap, throughout this one encounter, Square Enix used 5, or 6 if you count the Stormblood boss theme and the Alamegan Anthem as 2 separate references, themes the player is intimately familiar with, or should be, as this patch came out a year after the expansion released. A casual player will hear at least one of those themes every time they play the game. That's what makes this encounter feel so impactful. It's a culmination of the year's worth of story, and it's told not only through dialogue, but also through musical themes. This kind of gravitas is what sets Final Fantasy XIV's boss fights apart from other MMOs. Don't get me wrong, Blizzard has created some amazing boss fights in World of Warcraft. But just imagine with me for a second. Imagine that the music played a bigger role. Imagine if G'huun, for example, had unique music that changed with his 3 phases. Imagine the impact that the Reorigination Ray would have if there was a dramatic musical shift that accompanied it. Imagine a sinister tune that incorporated variations on a Titan theme, or a Zandalar theme, or even an Old God and Ny'alotha theme. That one singular change could have helped solidify that boss encounter's place in people's minds. The musical throwbacks just reminding you of who you're fighting, why you're here, and what you've overcome to get here. Now this isn't meant to slam anyone at Blizzard, or World of Warcraft. They do raid encounters very well. But myself and a few of my friends oftentimes turn on Final Fantasy boss battle theme playlists while we raid in WoW. Because the raid music is generally uninspiring and repetitive. Anyway, I can talk about this stuff for hours, if you'd let me. So I think it's best if I end the discussion here. I hope I was able to teach you something new, or maybe help you put a finger on why Tsukuyomi's theme sounded familiar. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Now, until next time, bye.